All right, there we go. We
Yep.
are live, and I'm going to click on Instagram to bring them into the room. Let me click that. Yes, I see us. Come on, things are going slow. Da-do, 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 da-do. All right, give us some grace, wonderful audience. Here we go. Now it's live. And let me make sure I've turned the mute off. Okay. Yeah, my mute stays on. So we're good. Awesome. So we are live, Joudie. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram from my
Okay.
perspective. And thank you for being here today.
No, thank you for having me.
I appreciate you saying yes. So, for those out there in social media land, this is Joudie Weeks. He is a purpose and transformational coach. He is in one of my coaching communities that we share. It is called the Platinum Coaches Mentorship
Hmm.
with Coach Kelly J. And we also are in another kind of sub community where we met when we were in the social media boot camp.
Yeah.
So we have a little, we meet every Monday as a community as well to support one another. And as we were talking about all the wonderful things around social media that we're learning, um, I felt it was a great opportunity to bring Joudie on to the show. One, because I have a son 31 years old. He's an actor in LA, for those that don't know. And I knew it took a village to be able to raise my son. And
Hmm.
I wanted to support you in that way, Joudie, in the fact that you're helping young men. So I would love for you to kind of introduce yourself a little bit and let them hear from you with
Well,
respect.
like I
How you
said,
got.
hi everyone. Thanks for having me on the program. Joudie Weeks, transformational purpose coach, trying to help young men or middle-aged men, because we're all young at heart, find their purpose and really step into what they're called to do. I think it's important because it helps you not to circle the forest too long, but to be able to get out on your path and move toward the direction that you want to go in. So happy to be here, and hopefully we can have a good time.
I love that. And so what specifically Joudie? And I want to say that it's Joudie, like
Mhm.
howdy. So that's
Yes.
how we know how to enunciate your name. What specifically made you want to focus on men's growth? How did you get here?
It I mean, I was always into helping. I have a thing to help people, and sometimes it gets me in trouble because I help too much. But there was a point where I was in the last couple of years, I'm seeing families starting to get um, broken down, where you would have the husband, and usually it was the husband who would just leave, right?
Mhm.
And the question, I ponder a lot of things. One of the questions I was going through my mind was, why do you have now a breakdown to the point where the wife is willing to work it out, or whatever it is, but the husband is not? Or what caused them to get to the place where now um, the family is harmed in a way that it's really hard to come back from? And
Right.
what could I do to help men really have good moral character, find their purpose? Because I think if you know the direction you're going in, it's kind of hard to get sidetracked with some of these other things. So that's really where that came from. But it's really, for me, seeing it around and kind of asking myself the question, why is this happening so much, right? And what can I do to mitigate it or just stop it completely?
And what did you find? How did it become coaching and mentoring?
Well, the coaching thing kind of, most coaches, I'm learning is that they've been doing it for a while. They just didn't know it. And exactly. And then you just start to say, I can do that. So one day I was watching on YouTube, and this video came up, and she was talking about coaching, and I'm like, what is that? I didn't really know too much about it. And she was like, well, it's an industry you can get into. You don't really have to do a lot of stuff, but you can get in there and learn and just go and help people. And I said, okay, well, I mean, I prayed about it. I did. And it's almost like the Lord was saying, okay, go ahead and do it. And I said, all right, well, if you're saying I should do it, I'm gonna follow you.
That's
So that's kind of where we are right now. I'm not saying that it's been an easy, smooth transition, but you got to look at the goals and why you're trying to do it, as opposed to now all the struggles and hurdles and things like that. Because these are the things that make you better for who you are. Because in order for us to grow, there needs to be challenges. You're not going to have it all easy all the time.
absolutely, I agree. I'm finding that out in this transition as a coach as well. What would you say has been a transformative experience from your coaching practice that stands out in your memory thus far?
It's to see the progression of the people that you're trying to help, right? So where they came in, what the situation was that they had, and then now how, as things go on, you're helping and they're changing, and they're starting to realize, okay, well, I was here and I didn't really know what was going on, but now I'm in a better place. Not completely better place, but I'm moving in the direction that I want to go in, and you're seeing positive results, right? It's not an overnight transformation, because everything takes time, but you're
Mhm.
moving in a direction that, and this is my thing, especially for the purpose that you decide, right? It's not you sitting down, or the car is driving, you're a passenger, and wherever the driver is taking you, you just end up in a place that you don't want to go. It is a destination that say, okay, well, in 5 years I want to, lose 50 pounds, or if in 5 years I want to have a better healthy body.
Right,
You're the ones that deciding what the outcome is, and then now you're saying, okay, these are the milestones I need to hit to get to where I want to go. And
right.
that's rewarding to see people change over time for the better, is what it's all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, how do you approach helping men discover their purpose? And what
Well,
challenges do you commonly see them face in this process?
the challenge is first not knowing what you want to do, right? So
Mhm.
everybody, we have a general idea of, I need to work, I need to pay my bills, I need to, if you want to have a family, I need to start a family or find somebody to start a family, that kind of
Right.
thing. But really, what do you feel like you're meant to do? These kind of things, people have a very hard time, because once the routines of work and life get in, then you're just kind of hamstering the wheel and just keeping that thing moving. But now to
Mm,
decide and to get off of that thing and to really find your purpose, I think it's the really important part. I decide, like I said before, if I want to lose 50 pounds, or if I want to run a marathon, this is what I want to do, and I want to train for it, and these are the directions going. Some of the hurdles that they have is to shake off old habits, right?
right.
Because sometimes you have habits that are beneficial for you, and then you have habits that keep you from really achieving the ultimate goals that you're going for. And that, I think, is one of the big problems, because we all have habits, good or bad, they're there. But one is to recognize what they are, the ones that are keeping you stuck, and then to now filter them out, I think is something, because habits are what keeps us functioning. But is to replace the bad ones, because you can't really the neurons have already been formed in the brain. It's not you erasing, but it's you replacing, so that you're taking one thing and replacing something else, so that you're not stuck.
That's really good around that. The replacement, because you hear so many times the word unlearn.
Hmm.
It's
You
like,
can't do that. Once it's in, it's in, but you
yeah,
can replace.
yes, yes, absolutely. I appreciate that. Um, what about with the habits? What was coming to my mind was also mindset. Is
Hmm.
when you say habits, is that include mindset? Because
Absolutely.
sometimes it's the way we believe and think, right?
Yeah.
Would you say?
Here's the thing: you think before you act, right? So I have to have the mindset first that this is what I want to accomplish, and I envision it, and I believe that it is possible, right? If I don't believe that I can get out of bed, I'm not going to get out of bed. If I don't believe that I can run a marathon, I'm not even going to attempt. So before I even start the healthy habit, before I even write down the purpose, before I even think of the goal that I want to do, it has to start up here, right? Because we don't
Mhm.
act and then think. We think first and then we act, and that's where the habits come from. So the mindset is very important, right? What we say to ourselves is even more important, because if I say, well, going back to the marathon example, I want to run a marathon, but then you keep telling yourself, you're not a marathon, you're not a marathon person, you're not a runner, we're a person that sit around and watch TV all day. It'll never happen because you've already talked yourself right out of it, because you've already told yourself it's not possible, right? And
It's
even
like,
though, huh?
telling yourself no before you even get
Before
started.
you
Yeah.
even try, and even in the hard times when you're going through these things, it is the mindset that gets you through the challenges, right? It's not so much the external; it's what happens in in the internal that helps you
Mhm.
to now make it through these challenges, right? Because you could, and I'm gonna go back to the marathon thing because I like to run, right? You can decide that, well, I'm gonna run a 5K or whatever it is, and then a week later on, your knee stop hurting you or your ankle start hurting you. What are you gonna do? You say, okay,
Mhm.
well, I tried and I'm gonna stop, or you can say, well, I'll try something else so that I can still strengthen my legs, and then when I'm strong enough, I can get back into it. It all depends on what you're telling yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are some of the, do you have some particular mantras to help folks get started?
Well, there is the one that I like is the power of the I am, right? I
Mhm.
am able to run a 5K, right? I am able to accomplish my goal, right? And when you put that in that, it gives you a lift, it gives you a boost, right? Because the brain, I don't know how many people know this, the brain does not argue with you. Whatever thought you put in there, you're the one that's programming the computer. And if you tell
Understood.
yourself, I cannot, it will say, okay, you cannot. And then it won't do it. Right. I believe it's Henry Ford that says, if you tell yourself you can or you cannot, you're right. Because you're the one that's programming what's going in. So it's important that you go with what you can do, and
Right.
everything else will
Uh-oh.
work itself out. It's not what happens on the outside that really matters. Yes, it does affect some of the goals that you have in place, but what happens on the inside, the battle is really on the inside before it even reaches outside. And when you start, especially when you put, another one to use is you put things in the present tense, like it's already happened, right?
Yes.
I have already completed my 5K, right? So you're already pre-programming, you're priming yourself that this goal that I have envisioned is possible, has happened, and it is possible that I will one day reach what is happening. So a lot of it has to do with what you're telling yourself. That inside recording is super super important. People have no idea how important it is because you're doing it all day. The only problem is when you start getting like some mantras and some affirmations, you're now pre-programming yourself to for success. Not meaning that 100% that you'll reach it, but you'll get pretty close to your goal.
That makes me think about when I was raising my son. I would keep post-it notes everywhere, all over the bathroom. When he would go into the bathroom, he would have them and things like that. And I didn't, it was just my way of getting messages to him.
But funny you say that because if you think about children when they're small and the parent, oh, you do something, oh, you are fantastic, or that's a great job, and you're actually priming them at a small age. But at some point, we get to 10, 11, and it's like, oh, you don't need to do that anymore because they're old enough, right? And then we stop telling them these things, and now there's a struggle because sometimes if you stop telling them the good, the bad does creep in, and they hold on to it, right?
Yeah.
So it does happen.
Now I never allowed that. He's 31 now, and I'm the consultant. I went from mother to coach to consultant,
Yeah.
and I'm always dropping those nuggets. I kept them until he left for college in his bathroom.
Wow.
Yeah, we
Wow.
didn't play that. I needed him to know who he was when I sent him out to the world. And number one, to remember that he was my child.
That's right. Well, I don't think and he'll ever forget that. You only
Yeah,
get one mother. You only
that's
get
right.
one mother.
Let me ask you this. In your opinion, what role does resilience play in the journey of personal and transformational growth for men?
It's an important key part of it because first is determining what the goal is. Right? You need to decide where you want to go. It's like a captain in a ship. The ship does not move from port until we decide a destination that is going to. But you need to have now the will to see it all the way through, right?
Mhm.
To decide that yes, as the boat is traveling, say it's leaving from Florida and is going to Puerto Rico, right, on a cruise, that if we hit rough waters, we're still going to push the boat through because we're already partway through our destination, right? And that's where the resilience come in is to say, I have decided to do this thing, and
Mhm.
My mental makeup is that okay, I accept challenges will come. Not might, but they will come. But when they do come, I either have a backup plan to fall back on, or I just push.
Mhm.
Right? It's very, very important.
Yeah, yeah. Have you have you experienced any challenges that were most difficult, and what was that like for you?
Um, Challenges, yes. So, like I said before, when you're coaching people, one of the things that you're gonna get is the old habits, right? And depending on how ingrained that old habit is, it's difficult sometimes to navigate through because I
Mhm.
am trying to override a tape that has been playing for maybe 20 years, 30 years, 25 years, something like that, right? So
True.
and it depends on also the relationship with the person, how open they are in the process, because you have some people who are open to the process and they're willing to take whatever, and then some people who are open to the process, but because of how ingrained these habits, mindsets, they are, it's hard to accept now what I'm telling you, because what I'm telling you is different than what you've been telling yourself or what even somebody else told you.
Oh man, that's good.
And
Yeah.
to change that, it does take some time. I give you an example. So one of the things, there's a guy I was coaching. One of the things I was telling him, okay, it's important for you to journal, right? Because in the coaching, you figure out that there are some negative thoughts, some negative self-talk that are happening there. And I'm like, okay, these things do not come from nowhere. They don't come out of a vacuum. And it's good for you now to journal to figure out where they're coming from, why they're there. Then you can move to a positive direction as to how to deal with it, and even like I said it again, to rewrite the tape.
Right.
Problem now was I don't like to journal, right? Or it just feels funny, that kind of thing. And I'm like, yes, I understand that because it's different than what you're accustomed to do, but it's part of the process to get you to move forward, to get this wheel that's stuck in the mud that keeps spinning, to get it some traction so that you can keep moving forward. So one, that's some of the challenges where you have people who have habits or preconceived notion about some of the things that need to be done for you
Right.
to move forward, or you to be whole. And sometimes it takes a while to move past those.
Mhm. That's good though. I think that's a big one. The journaling. I even got all these examples obviously because I raised a boy.
Hmm.
Same thing with the journaling. It helps you get your thoughts out.
Yep.
So that's good that you bring that to the forefront for them also.
Yeah,
It's a
because if you think about it, and sorry to cut you off there, if you
no,
think
no,
about it with and I try to use this as an example to show them how important and valuable it is for journaling. Abraham Thomas Edison had a journal, right? If you go to the Edison Museum, you're going to see his journals in there, and he journaled the process of making just the light bulb. There are a lot of journals that he kept for all of his experiments, but he journaled the whole process. That's why we have something now to look back on to say, okay, well, this is how he did it, this is where he failed and stuff. And he was meticulous with his scheduling for his day. Like you see where he took naps and all this other stuff, and he journaled a lot of these things in there. Um, Another example, if you go back to because I'm a Christian, if you go back to the Bible,
hmm
okay, there are sections in there where the children of Israel will fight the battle and they will go to war. And it says that they came back, they sung songs, and Moses would write down whatever they happened, and they would say that it's a memorial for your generations to come, for the children, right?
absolutely.
So it is also a way for you to preserve the blessings as well as the challenges to encourage. Now, I read this article, and one time it was talking about journaling, and it was really powerful because it said as you journal throughout the year, one of the best things you can do is at the end of the year, you get to go back now and review how the year went. Right? It gives you a boost for the next year. So if I'm journaling from January all the way to December, as I get to December, like fourth quarter, you say, okay, I'm gonna take like a week or whatever it is and review my year. I can because I journaled my whole year. So I have a written record of what happened. And I think it's
Evident.
good because it helps you cognitively to see your wins.
Absolutely. See your patterns,
Hmm.
see where you met your goal and how you were able to accomplish that. Yes, wonderful. I like to yeah, some people get caught up on the word journaling, so I typically will say record, because
Okay, I
even if
like
it's
that.
a, yeah, even if it's a voice note to yourself, you're still recording that thought or that information
Ah, okay, okay, I like
until,
that.
yeah, till they get the hang of it. So I know that that's helpful, because sometimes not having the physical thing could be an impediment, right?
Hmm.
To keep them from doing it. So this way, if you look at, you're just recording. You're recording your thoughts. It's right there on your phone.
Hmm.
You can even use the notes and record it and still have it type it out for you.
Right.
Want to do it in a digital way. So I love to be able to give people another option if they're afraid to kind of put it in writing as well.
Yeah, because you think journal, you're thinking maybe diary, and there's a whole thing with that too.
Yeah,
So
the
yeah,
whole
I
this.
do. I like that recording. The way of reframing it.
It seems to make such a difference. Could you share a success story of a man who underwent significant transformation under your coaching?
Well, there's a young man I was coaching, and um, there was a period where he was not in school,
Mm,
and we worked with some stuff, and he decided to go back to school and to get his education. So that was is because he's still actually getting his schooling done. So that was, I would say, is a triumph for me. Because
yes,
education, there's a friend of mine, he moved now, but he told me years ago when I decided to go back to school, he said, when you get your education, your worldview expands because now you have more information and you're able to process things differently. So I try to encourage our young men to get their education so that you can see things differently. It gives you a lot of opportunities also.
absolutely. Talk about mindset and routines and how we encourage them when they're young. I used to tell my son he had two choices. You can you can go to college or you can go to college. Which which one? He'd
I think
always
you,
say,
I think you went to college.
absolutely. I picked the last. So he already knew it wasn't optional. He just grew up knowing that he was going to go to college,
Mhm.
no matter what. And I do think that made a difference. He did go, he did finish. Now, once he graduated and decided he wanted to be an actor, I was like, well, we could have skipped college if I known that, you know?
But I mean, it gives them something to fall back on if he decides something different. He has options, so I think that's
Absolutely.
the key.
And I felt like education is something that can't be taken away from you. Once
Exactly.
you know it, once you have it, you know what you know.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Congratulations to your client that is pursuing higher education. That's wonderful. What about, do you have some strategies that you would recommend for balancing personal and professional growth, particularly for men with busy lifestyles?
Prioritize your own mental space first,
Mm,
because it's very easy to get caught up with everything else, right? Particularly with men, we take on a lot because we have a lot of responsibilities. And I mean, if you're, I call it a mature, responsible person, particularly a man, you're going to want to
mm,
make sure that you're taking care of your family. So prioritizing yourself so you don't get lost and you're able to still sort out your own thoughts amidst everything else. That'll be number one. Again, I'll go back to the journaling. It is helpful to journal your thoughts so it gives you a clearer view of the landscape of things that are going on, and
mhm,
not only necessarily your thoughts but your events, whatever is going on, that you get to chronologue your own space. You set time for yourself. The third one would be sleep. I am
mm,
a big proponent of getting a good night's sleep and waking up early. Right, that is where, for me, and I'm talking personally, that's where I saw the change, because I used to go to sleep 11 o'clock, 11:30, whatever it is, 12 o'clock, and then when I decided to go to sleep earlier, because I read this book on sleep, and it just impacted me, and I started now going to sleep. I'm in bed usually by 10, and
mm,
I get up about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Right,
mhm,
that time is my time to do my devotion, do my personal development before I have to start the day or whatever it was, and it has made a huge difference. Because primarily, if you look at getting up earlier, there's so many things that
Mhm,
you can get done early in the morning before you have to start your day, and it
mhm.
actually puts you ahead of everybody else because everybody else is, to be honest, they're just lumbering out of bed and they're hustling along to get the day started. But if you start your day already, like I said, 5:30, 6 o'clock, then there's a lot you've accomplished before you even get ready to go to work.
Absolutely, your personal time. I'm so big on that. Right now my schedule's thrown off, but my goal is always between that 4:35 a.m.
Mhm.
mark because I know I need at least 3 hours of personal time just for me. And
Really?
it's an awesome way to put me first on my list
Hmm.
before anyone else,
Yep.
you know, has something for me to do, especially when I was working a 9 to 5.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you don't want anybody dictating your calendar, particularly when you're the one supposed to be driving driving the car. And when you have that space, particularly for your thoughts, and again, I read another book when he was talking about in the morning, your creativity, your thinking is the clearest because there's nothing on the agenda. A lot of people sometimes they try to cram in their time at the end of the day, but then you think about everything else that you've already done either in the day or things that you need to do tomorrow. But when you get up early, there's nothing on your mind because you just went to sleep and cleared the whole deck.
Right.
So it
Absolutely.
is helpful.
Absolutely. Well, those were some wonderful points there. Just to recap that, so strategies for personal and professional growth from your perspective. One was personal care for your mental health. Did I capture that correctly?
Mhm.
Second was journaling or recording your thoughts. And the third was get a good night's
Good
sleep.
night's sleep. Love that good night's sleep. I
Oh,
tell you a funny story. We went on a cruise in 20 I think it was 2016, 2017. It was me, my wife, our girls, and some friend of ours. It was like a group.
mhm.
And like I said, 10 o'clock. So imagine we're on a cruise and 10 o'clock hit and I'm going to the cabin because I'm like, I'm going to bed. They're like, what are you doing? We're on vacation. I said, no, no, no. I'm getting my sleep. So when they're sleeping, I'm getting up 7 o'clock in the morning, getting up to go to the gym and doing a walk around. There's nobody up. It is the cruise was so
Right.
quiet, everybody was sleeping. And here's the thing. So they were all sleeping, and the boat was coming into Jamaica, the cruise ship. I
Mhm.
have never seen this, but because I was up at 8 o'clock in the morning, they were docking and the boat had to turn around to back in. And I got the
Oh,
whole thing on video.
nice. I
And
thought you
everybody
were
else
going to
was still
say there was a
sleeping.
beautiful
It
sunrise.
was. It was. And they were all sleeping. Matter of fact, it was two ships that came in. So I got to see two cruise ships dock at the same time.
Nice. And they back in.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm a cruiser. I love doing cruises, but I don't know that I knew that they back in.
Yep.
That's kind of
And
cool.
I tell you, you would not think, as large as that ship is, that it's able to turn that quickly.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you'd be amazing what you miss when you're sleeping. But if you get up early, you see some things.
Very cool. I see we've got some guests that have joined us on Facebook, Kim and Saria. I know that you both have raised young men. If you've got some questions here for Coach Joudie, feel free to drop them in the chat, or if you'd like to come on and ask your question live, we are open to that as well. Um, Let me ask you another question, Coach Joudie.
Sure.
How do you tailor your coaching approach to address the unique needs and challenges faced by men?
Well, the first thing, like I said, you go back to the goals they want to accomplish, right? Because it's not my goals, it's your goals.
Mhm,
And the more that you take ownership of what the goals are, the better it is for the process of us moving towards, because you know the reasons why that's important to you, right?
mhm,
And once we are able to determine, okay, I want to, I use the example again, I want to run a 5K, I want to run a marathon. Okay, why is it important to you? Why do we need to hit this? And how can we now create a program where we're going to hold you accountable for what needs to happen, the milestones that need to happen for you to get to where you need to get. And I think that's how we do it. First, you establish what the goal is, then why is it important? Not just the goal, because it's easy for anybody to pick something out of the air and say, okay, this is what I want to do. But why is that thing crucial? Why is it important for you to achieve that? And how will it be um, different for you once you've achieved that? Then we're able now to look at the program and say, this is where we need to be at this time, or these are the things that we need to do so that you end up where you want to end up. And then we just try to work through it. Obviously, there are going to be challenges along the way, right?
Mhm.
And one of the best things about human beings is that we have the ability to adapt. We don't use it all the time sometimes because we get stuck in habits and this is how it should be and we can't really change it. But learning how to bend but not break is one of our greatest strengths. And
Mhm.
once you realize that and you lean into it, then you're able to move forward.
I love that. I love that. You will bend, but you will not break.
You don't have to break. Yep.
Absolutely. So, what advice do you have for men who may feel hesitant or resistant to seeking coaching or personal development?
Know that it is for your benefit. It is not for your I mean, it's not there to hurt you, it's not there to stigmatize you in any way. Um if you want to improve, then sometimes you need a second set of eyes, right? Somebody
Mhm.
else to tell you where you might not, or to show you things that you might not be looking at, right? Because sometimes we do get tunnel vision, and I only see this thing, but there are three other things on either side that could
Right.
be preventing me from moving forward. But because I'm just looking at what I'm looking at right now, I can't see those things. And that those things could be the habits that you have. Like I said, one of them could be just staying up too late, right? You're
Mm,
wondering why I don't have the energy to do the things that I want to do, but you have not looked at your schedule to see, okay, what are the vampires that are sucking the energy from
mm,
you being able now to accomplish, any of the other goals you have. So these are the kinds of things you look at holistically to say, okay, what are the hurdles that you have not seen but are still there? Okay, what can we do now to minimize, negate them, remove them, so that you're able now to move forward to where you need to be? And that's how you do it. It all depends on the person, because again, is like I said before, it's not my goal, it's your goal, but it's how now we do. How What are the steps that we need to do? What are the things that we can put in place so that you're able to accomplish your goals?
absolutely. It makes me think about my son. He would do his homework, but for some reason, by the time he would get to school, we could never find the homework. Like, what in the world? You done all this work, spent the time, and now you're not getting credit. We need to figure out what happens between there and the house. Like, what's
Yeah,
happening, young man? We
because he
can't.
got distracted. He got distracted.
Oh my lord! He couldn't say the dog ate it. I knew that. So
Did you
in
have the
your
dog?
we did for a little while. We did,
Okay.
but yeah, it used to drive me crazy. It's like you spend all this time and then you get there and you don't have your homework. I don't understand. But definitely distracted. The boys, to me, the
Uh,
last thing on their mind is what they're supposed to be doing. It's
well, I think that's natural because I can't fault that. I used to do the same thing. So
oh my God,
I think
hunting
easily
frog.
distracted was permanently stamped on my report card.
Yes, just play, play, play. In your experience, how does purposeful living contribute to overall well-being for men?
Because, well, here's why. Because men are task oriented, right?
Mm,
And we like to
yeah.
complete something, finish it. That's why most men are, if you for women, they come and they say, oh, I have a problem, or I want to talk about something. The natural reaction is to, let's fix it, right?
Mhm.
Because we're task oriented. So that helps to bring them back. But I think that is why it's so important. That is why it's so important.
Wow.
Once we're able to complete the task, it gives you a boost,
Hmm.
and it helps you to do other things. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. I want to capture that actually. That's a good one. That that needs a whole quote. Men are task oriented,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives them purpose.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. So I'm repeating that. I put that out there.
Okay.
Awesome. Awesome. Drop your questions if you have any questions for Coach Joudie. He'd love to answer them. We did get one comment, Coach. I don't know if you saw that. Great tips thus far.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, Kim just I don't know if she's back. She was in Puerto Rico with her son Mike, just turned 23. He had an accident, and we've been praying and warring over that baby for quite a while. And just to see the growth and the flourishing that he's doing, and
Mm-hmm.
made it to 23, we see every day as a
Oh,
gift.
that's fantastic.
And he is with us, yeah, because his heart had stopped. And
Oh, oh,
yeah,
well, thank the
so
Lord is okay.
yeah, so it's been such a blessing. We love Mike. Let me ask you another question. I
Okay.
got a few more here for you.
All
Can
right.
you discuss any specific tools or exercises you find effective in guiding men through their transformational journey? We know we talked about journaling.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any others that come to mind?
Um, the self-talk is another one. Figuring out, what is being said and how can you correct it. Because particularly for, I think sometimes for men, we are told, okay, little boys shouldn't cry and these kind of things. We've heard those things, right?
Is my
Uh,
blood boiling?
and and more of the I would say the nice language is more aimed towards the girls than the boys. So you get kind of the harsh treatment because you're supposed to be able to take it, right?
Mm,
But there are some things that we need to be able to say to ourselves that like you're okay, and these kind of things, because you're a man, you're expected to shoulder more, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that's the fact, because we all have feelings in different degrees. So to be able to be strong in who you are, right? No matter what is going on, to know your purpose is
mm,
important. And to have I think the other thing is to have a good community around you,
mm.
right? Because you're no good with by yourself, because no man is an island, and it's
Mm.
good to have people that you can talk to. um I was having a conversation just to highlight some of the struggles that the men go through. So my daughter's right now, she's in college, and she was talking about this boy, and she was like, why is he not just coming up and talking to her? And I'm like, well, you have to you don't understand the things that men go through, right? To this point in his life, he's probably heard no maybe 50 times, right? You don't have that pressure to you are receiving the compliments, right? He's not receiving, he has to get them all out. So in order for him to come and talk to you or any female that he sees, he's got to weigh, is she really giving me the right signals? Am I gonna go up there and get egg in my face and all this thing? These are the options that we have to now balance out before we go to make that thing. And these are some of the struggles that men have to go through in their
Right.
daily lives. And it's important now that you're, you know, being what cognizant of what is happening outside, but also being centered on the inside. Know your worth, know your value, and really step out into that. Because not everybody is going to realize your worth or your value if you
Right.
don't, right? If you don't know your worth and your value and don't appreciate, who God made you to be, then you're gonna have issues, because people will treat you any way they want to treat you. Actually, no. Let me rephrase that. You get what you allow. And it's
Absolutely.
important that you set those boundaries properly so that you're centered on the inside, as well as you're allowing in your own personal space on the outside, right?
Hmm.
So some of the tools is to make sure that you're affirming yourself, right? And you're not waiting for other people to affirm you, because that's a trap. The minute
Absolutely.
you start waiting, and I've seen it. Funny you brought that up. I've seen it with men who were not affirmed or beaten down throughout their lives, and then they have relationships where it's a continual spiraling down, right? And the only way for them to come out of those holes is to really just say to yourself, I am somebody,
I
right?
am. I love that.
And you have to keep going with that. I am worth it. And again, going back to the I am who God made me to be, and these kind of things, so that now you're centered on the inside and your world starts to now balance out on the outside.
Hmm. I am is so powerful. I use it as a exercise as well, for my coaching practice, and it's actually one of the pillars, the I am, for when you to become your most authentic self.
Hmm.
And I share to, because I serve Christian women,
There you
when
go.
you're reading the Bible, to replace those words with um, I statements, present tense, your name, because most people tend to read the Bible and see it just like stories. They don't see
Hmm.
themselves in it most of the time, especially when you're going through. So
Hmm.
it's like, write out your favorite scriptures and put your name in there.
Well, that's why, and funny you said it, because that's why it's so personal. If you go to, because right now we're going through, as a devotional group, Leviticus, right?
Mm, mm,
And there's some things in there where it's like God spoke to Moses or God spoke to children of Israel, but like you rightly said, if you take them out and put yourself in, that's
yeah,
why the Bible applies so many different situations. Like that, I
mm,
think that's why some people like Psalms so much, because it resonates with them. And
mm.
yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm
I
going through this thing,
absolutely,
and I feel this darkness that's around me.
absolutely,
And once I, it goes on to talk about the shepherd. Once I take hold of the shepherd, then I'm able to get through. So it is important that the I am be you, and you realize that as the good book says, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You hold on to that because it is true,
absolutely.
right? And you don't allow anybody to come in now and put a different programming than God intended.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I remember I was this I don't, and it's funny this came up. I was in Dallas. I had just moved there and I was getting a self-care service, and the young lady, um I don't know what made me ask her this question or whatever. I think some people were like kind of disgruntled, or whatever. And I was asking her, how was she feeling? How was she
Mhm.
doing? She was like, I'm cool, because my grandma told me don't let nobody tell me who I am. I was like, okay, ma'am.
Hey, if
Ma'am.
grandma said it, it's good for me.
I was so proud of her little self. I'm like, okay, okay. Well, with that, I want to ask you a couple of kind of personal questions.
Okay.
What is one book that has significantly influenced your life and coaching philosophy?
There is, and I don't know if it's a book, but
Hmm.
no, it is a book. But I heard it first on the audio. Matter of fact, I heard it first on YouTube. I didn't even know it was a book, but I found out later on it's a book. Earl Nightingale has a book called The Stranger's Secret,
Mm,
and it is not a long listen. It's probably about half an hour. I think it is on YouTube. But I tend to listen to my things like the speed is up, so I hear it a lot faster. I hear it in like 15 minutes. But
okay.
that book kind of put some purpose and define some things for me, because he talks about writing down your goals and really having a vision and these kind of things in that short audio, because it was produced, I believe, in the 1920s.
Hmm.
So that's how long it's been out. And that one was really helpful to me.
What's the
Trying to think of
name?
another one. The Strangest Secret, Earl Nightingale.
So it's different than The Secret. It's called The
Yes,
Strangest Secret.
that's
Mm,
the secret. And when you figure out what the strangest secret is, you'll be surprised. It's very simple. It's
wow.
very simple.
I'm gonna have to go listen to it.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
on YouTube. You just do a he has, I think, three, because back in those days it's you're talking about and not even cassettes, you're talking about the little what do they call those things? Um I'm gonna drawing a blank. So it's not gonna it's the LP.
oh, okay.
That's what it was on first, and he received a golden record. That's what they call it, record. He received a golden record because of that.
Mm.
The other book I um would be The Seven Habits of a Highly Effective Person. People.
Mm-hmm.
That's another very
Stephen
good book.
Covey.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
I love
But
that.
The Strangest Secret is a excellent, 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 excellent book or YouTube video. That's right first.
I've never heard of that one. I've heard of
Yeah.
a lot of them,
After you
but
listen to it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think.
I'm
To me, it was
I'm
very
gonna listen
informative.
to it tonight. You said it's only 15 minutes long.
It's if you turn up the speed, I listen to them at 1.5,
That's
right?
okay. I can
But
do 1.5. Yeah.
yeah, but if you do it normal, I think it's like half an hour. So it's not a terribly long audio, but
Okay.
it has a lot of good information in there. A lot of good
That's
information. It's some simple concepts that you anybody can get.
awesome. I'll look for that one. I know most people know Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
Hmm.
That was big back in the day. Let me
Do
ask
you
you.
know,
Mhm.
as a tip, he actually wrote seven effective, um, was it tips? But it was for the family. So he actually did one for the family also.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same, almost the same title, except for instead of people, it's family, and that one's actually pretty good too.
So seven highly
Highly
effective habits for
habits,
the family.
the family, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll note that on here as well. What is a daily habit or routine that you believe contributes to your success as a coach?
Sleep. It is
The
my
sleep.
superpower.
The sleep.
That getting a good night's sleep, it cannot be any more overstated. And getting up early. So you get on to sleep early and you get up early because you have that time. I do my devotion early, so I do my devotion first, and then
Yeah.
I do my. So I have the devotion with my Bible, and then I do my self development. Like I said, with either one of those books, and that is how I structure most of my days. I'm not saying it happens every single day,
Right.
but that is how I try to structure it because the sleep is where your body gets to refresh, also your brain, because you can't go through a day keep pumping information in. It needs time to process not only your information that you're putting in, but also your emotions. So if you're
Absolutely.
not sleeping, these things do not happen. And then your health is determinant on the most amount of rest you get. And people fail to realize, and I don't not fail to realize, but I don't think a lot of people know that the time you go to sleep is also important. There are hormones and body functions that happen and can only happen when you're sleeping. So if you're up during the hours, hormones, I think HDH does not get released if you're still up, right? And
Mm,
HGH is part of the one of the hormones that help to repair your muscles, tissues, and these kind of things. So it's important. Your sleep is as important as breathing air, drinking water. I think it's like the third one I put in
mm.
the order. It is that important.
That's good to know. I noticed. So I'm recovering from COVID. I just went
Mhm.
out the house yesterday after 2 weeks, and my body was like craving sleep. All I could do was like pretty much sleep.
Mhm.
If the symptoms and things weren't that bad, but my body was like, "Look, girl, you are overdue." So I'm grateful for the sleep that I got
Yeah,
because
if you're feeling it that bad, it probably said I need the rest so that I can get the repairs done, and you need to you need to chill.
I knew I needed it. I could just tell. I could tell when I got it on the plane, and it felt like the flu, and it wasn't that bad, but I was
Mhm.
just so freaking tired. And as I was resting, I was thinking about just my year and that those 5 days I was in Puerto Rico was just go go go. So I knew everything was just off. So
Yeah,
my body was ripe to get it because I had not even had it before. So I'm like, my gosh. Hey, Shondell, good to see you. She said, "Good evening, beautiful people." That's
good
one of
evening.
my cousins. She's got a son too that's just became a dad. I think baby girl's is she too? So yeah,
Oh, that's the early
um,
stages.
yeah.
No, no, no. I have my daughter's married and the other one is in college, so we wailed past that.
Oh, okay, so you ain't got no little people. Oh, she
No, no.
okay, baby G.
Well, congratulations. Was that grandma, right?
Uh-huh. I don't know
Good.
if you go by grandma. She might still take the grandma word.
Or as I have a cousin, she says glamour. So
Yeah. We take all them ones that we know we find. She just had a big birthday. She
oh,
turned
Gigi. Okay.
Hey, Gigi. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Who else we got in the building? Hey, Miss Daisy. This is good. And this is, this is what I also knew, Joudie, when wanting to have you on the phone. I mean on the show, is that most of the message is going to come through the women,
Hmm.
to get through the men, get through
Hmm.
the men. And so I appreciate you being willing to come on the show as well for
It
that
does.
reason, you
Yes, no
know.
grandma. She said no grandma.
Yeah, because she too fine for all that.
There you go.
Let me
As they
see.
say, black don't crack, right?
That's right. That's right. Outside of coaching, what are your hobbies or activities that bring you joy and balance?
The running would be one. I've been off for a little bit, but I'm planning on getting back into it. It does free your mind. I guess it's my little mantra or affirmation. Before I start running, I say free the endorphins, and I just you go, and you
Mm,
get that hit of endorphins as you're running, and when you finish, you feel good. I like to exercise. So if I'm not running, I tend to do the weights. Um, or some form of exercise, something like that. I did get a punching bag, so I started that too. So that's pretty nice. I do like to some minor woodworking. I'm not saying I'm a Bob Vila or anything, but
okay.
I do dabble into it. I made a bed one time, so yeah, I got, and that's what I'm saying to you. The mindset is very important. I never did it before. We bought a house and I had all these tools that I got that to fix up the house, and I fixed up the house because I'm good with my hands. But the bed, the woodworking, I never did. But I just said, okay, well, I can, and I figured out a way to get it done, and I
You
did.
said I
It
can
wasn't,
and I am.
yeah, Bob the Builder.
Yes. All right. All right, Coach Jowdy.
So
You can add that on your resume because you got evidence that you did it.
yeah. So
Hey,
it,
Craig. Good to see you, Craig
it
Howard.
is important. It is important. So, but yeah, so those are some of the things that I enjoy doing.
I love that. Well, I know women love men that work with their hands. Craig is a chef. We went to high school, junior high school together. So he's on the
Okay.
line.
So he is. That's the one thing I don't like to do.
You don't like to cook?
Don't like to cook. Don't like to cook.
Craig is magnificent. He puts it down in the kitchen. I have to give you your flowers on that, Craig.
All right, good for him. Good for him. Strange enough, I have my little brother. He does the cooking, but he doesn't do the fixing. So the computer stuff that I could do computers also, all the other stuff. So it's a good balance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, are there any questions for Coach Jowdy before we go? I don't want to keep you too long.
No, we're fine. I'm actually having a good time here.
Awesome, awesome. All right, and you may have said this one, but I'm going to ask it again, just one more time. Is there a specific quote or mantra you live by, and how does it impact your coaching approach?
The one that I have again is the I am. Um,
Mhm.
but we all have a purpose, and it's for us to figure out what the purpose is. My there's a funny enough. Funny you say that. It just popped into my mind. There's a quote, and I don't know how far back your audience go, but back in the '90s, I was in high school. So there's a cartoon used to come on in the afternoons
In
called
the 90s, you were in the high school.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my crowd a little older than that. But go ahead with it.
No, okay. There was a cartoon that used to come on, and he used to say it all the time. It never hurts to help, right?
Mm,
It never hurts to help, and I never forgot that. It is my thing, because like I said before, I try to help people a lot. Sometimes it gets me in trouble with my wife, but it's my macho or my mantra is it never hurts to help, right? Because there are
mhm.
people who small or who needs the help, and if you're able to, or if I'm able to, I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna
Right.
try to. So, like I said, sometimes it does get me in trouble because I probably do too much. But what are you gonna do?
Well, if you've been called to be in the coaching space, we are definitely over givers. You can't be having a heart to help others and not, um, I think it's a learned behavior to know when your limit is, and it comes through doing.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
I'm still
absolutely.
trying to figure out the limit, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've been. I think about it. I've been coaching unknowingly for over 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And then I went through a life experience that, where I became disconnected from myself, and I realized I needed a me. Like how I was showing up for everybody else, I needed somebody to show up for me. And when I took on my first life coach back in 2019,
Mhm.
I realized, oh shoot, and they pay people for this?
There you
Like
go.
what? Oh my. And yeah, and it sent me down this path that I didn't even know that I was going to be on. And here we are, two
There you go.
certifications later, and now I got a full-fledged, full-time coaching practice. So here we are. Well, I appreciate you, Coach Joudie, for showing up. Is there anything before we go that you would like to share with the people, or any questions for me at all? It's
No,
not
I mean,
always,
huh? No, I
yeah.
mean, my well statement would be for us to try to figure out where you want to go and not be deterred, right? Because sometimes because it's your goal, it's your dream, it doesn't fit the other person's vision of who you should be or what you should be doing. Do not
Right.
allow other people to deter you from your purpose, your dream, and walk in the faith that God is calling you to something better, right? You said just now that you you went to your life coach and then now you're here you are. I thought of Moses at the bush. Moses
Mm,
had two options, right? He could have went back to the sheep, or he could have gone down to Egypt. Now in him going to Egypt, Egypt was the unknown. The
mm,
sheep he knew, the sheep he was comfortable with, but the unknown was where his growth was. The
yeah.
unknown was where he now became the person that God knew he can and should be. And we at different stages in our lives come to a point where we're at that burning bush and we need to make a decision. Am I going to go forward now into the unknown by faith, or do I go back to what I know and live a life of mediocrity, live a life without purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And yes, the unknown is scary. Like this, what I'm doing right now is the unknown. Do I have everything figured out? No, I don't. What I do know is that who I am called to serve is out there. And if
Absolutely.
I do not answer that call, the help that they need, they will not get. Right. Same thing. I'm encouraging everybody, whatever it is that your purpose is, figure it out so that you can live the life that is fulfilled. Like you get to 80 years old, 90 years old, God willing, you're living that long, 90 plus, let's say
Mhm.
that you can look back and say, I've done what I was supposed to do, and I am the person that I was meant to be.
Ashe. That's a life of well lived of purpose
Yeah.
at that point. Absolutely. I appreciate hearing that. Speaking of coaches, I see that Coach K. Marie is on here, our
Uh-oh.
social media coach. I don't know if she's still with us, but I saw that she popped in a little bit. That's what brought us together. Her social media boot camp class
Yes.
really got us out here on these social
I
media.
know, I know. And she put that challenge out. She put that challenge. Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
So thank you
So
for your support, Coach K. Marie. We appreciate you.
so
Yeah.
you do you have any like challenges that you faced that you were able to help somebody through that really stuck out to you?
Woo! Yes, Lord.
Oh boy.
it is who I'm called to serve, the Christian women that have been impacted by narcissistic relationships. Not
Hmm.
only did I have that challenge once, I had to face that challenge twice.
Wow.
Um, in my marriage, I had gotten married 3 months into the marriage. I'm realizing like something is off. It's not quite right. Like, what's going on? And I say, hey, I've been widowed for over 25 years. You've been married for 30 years. Maybe we just don't know how to communicate, right?
Mm.
And I say, let's get some counseling. And we go to the counselor, and the counselor identifies, I'm telling my side of the story, and she identifies that he's a narcissist.
Oh.
And I was like, and he's like, oh, totally. And I'm looking at her, looking at him like, am I being punked? Like, what's going on here? And she was like, I need you to know what you're getting yourself into. So she gave me a paper. She gave me a lot of papers, but the one I remember is 10 characteristics of a narcissist. So that sent me on a path to test everything in me,
Hmm.
because as a Christian, I felt like I remember who I was
Hmm.
when God's grace was on my life.
Amen.
I was somebody for real. And I wanted to extend grace. I wanted to be, you know, the best Christian I could be, the best wife I could be, like all of those things. But it tested everything in me to the point where I became disconnected from myself
Wow.
for so many reasons. And it really helped me find my true self. It helped me, that experience helped me figure out, one, why I was married in the first place,
Hmm.
like the real reason. We
Hmm.
like to say, oh, love and all of those things, but there was a real reason behind that. Like, who are you? It's a reason why you continue to allow people to show up in your life. And it just showed me who I really was. It showed me all of the baggage that I had that I didn't
Hmm.
know that was there. And uncovered so many things, and it helped me get back to my center in knowing and having a relationship with Christ. Um,
Would you go back and even change any of that?
I wouldn't change a thing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It birthed my purpose. Because
Right.
if you'd have asked me before all of that happened, I thought my purpose was to be my son's mother. Because before I became a mother, I didn't know who I was. I just lived day to day. And so I felt that that was my purpose, to bring him to be his best self in life, which I'm grateful for, because that turned out well.
Amen. That's very good.
Yeah, but if you'd have asked me that, and now I know that I'm called to serve women that have been in that situation, and then getting out of my marriage, and then I took a job, um, and went to work for someone, and they had the same energy. So it's not just intimate relationships. So I've been called to help walk women through. I've had the privilege of serving a beautiful sister in my program, and just seeing the transformation and the change that she's been through, and the life change. She said to me the other day, which blessed me so, she said, you were the answer to a prayer that I didn't know I needed to make.
Wow.
Blew my wig off. Like,
Wow.
yes. So, yes. Yeah.
Wow. And I think that's the real reason why some people coach, or most people coach, is when you get to those situations that you're able to really help somebody figure out what's going on and
Yeah.
how to move forward, because sometimes they don't know because you're in it and all these things are
Absolutely.
happening, you know?
Absolutely. It helps you collapse time. It helps you, you've had somebody that's walked through it. So it's not
Hmm.
like they learned it in a book. No, real lived life experience here, for sure.
Hmm.
For sure.
That purpose, boy, that purpose. That is
That
so important.
purpose will talk about
Yeah.
stretching you. And one of the things I would say about that too, with purpose, is um it's designed to stretch you.
Hmm.
You're gonna it's gonna take every ounce of everything that you have, but at the same time, you're knowing that it's the path that you're supposed to be on. Because it's just going to keep calling you. When it's, I heard someone say, I think it was Tabitha Brown, talked about when it's purpose and it's God, that it just won't leave you alone.
Okay.
Because if it's not, then it just goes
Yeah.
away, right? But when it's
Yeah.
God, you
Wow.
try maybe to put it down, but that thing don't.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what was happening. Spent all my money to get certified. Like I used my emergency money because it was just sitting there in my spirit when it came up, the business coaching opportunity to get certified. I just knew. Shondell says God has a funny way of getting us to where He wants us to be.
Supposed
No
to
diggity,
be. Yeah.
no diggity,
Yeah.
no doubt. Shondell too has a platform. She has a community where she supports women of domestic violence.
Oh wow. Okay.
Um, yeah, she's written 2 books, maybe 3 on the way.
All right. Go ahead, Gigi.
Yeah, so she knows that
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 is
person.
fantastic. No, and
Yeah.
I'm saying that, and that is why it's important to. I think when you find your purpose, going back to it, it enables you to do and to move past some of the naysayers, even internally, right? Because
Mhm.
when you find what it is that you're meant to do, it's a like an anchor to your soul,
Ah,
right? Because
yes.
you're now saying I'm here to help these women, these specific women, and there's no doubt in your mind that this is what you're supposed to be doing. And
At
because there's
first
no
I was
doubt,
like, what? But now, yeah, no. And the Lord made room for it. The
always
Lord
does,
made room for it. Because I don't
but,
have no job. He
but
made
you
it
got to
clear.
step out on faith.
Yes, this
Yeah,
what you're doing. Because you didn't hear me the first time. Okay.
you got to step out on faith. As I'm saying, that whole, and that's I love that story of Moses because it's so applicable to in my life and a lot of other people's lives. You always get to a fork in the road. Everybody always get to the fork in the road, but do you go forward? Because in Moses, as the example, in him going to Egypt, right? He went down to Egypt saying he's a man who couldn't talk. Went down to Egypt, say he's a
All
man who
right.
stutters, and he had
Yep.
all these excuses. But in him just going, he was able to part the Red Sea. He was able to see God's back. He was able to get the Ten Commandments handed to him, right?
Yes.
None of that happens if I don't go down to Egypt.
None of this happens if I don't say, okay, Lord,
There you go.
I
None of
surrender.
that happens, right? That person
Mhm.
that said that you just answered a prayer that I didn't even know that I needed to pray does not make that statement because you're not there.
It and I don't know about you, when I know it's God too, when I get a flutter like in my heart.
Yeah, I don't look at
It's
the flutter.
man, I've been through some spiritual warfare battles. And so it is something. It is something.
Yeah,
It
that's I got a friend of mine, she and my wife too. They kind of like they hold to the spiritual warfare battle. My daughter, we were actually talking about it last Friday. It's a new concept for me. I'm still because I tend to be more logical. I do
Mhm.
believe in God and I do know that He does do miracles and things kind of things, but this other spiritual warfare thing is a whole new thing for me. It is a whole new thing for me. But
Well,
I have they can attest to it, and I'm kind of leaning towards the yes, but I'm still not there yet.
you if it's the Lord's will for you to know it intimately, you will have no doubt in your mind that the Lord operates at a higher plane for you. My
Mhm.
spiritual mother, she always says, I know the Lord is working it out on my behalf. Because
Yes,
let
he
me
is.
tell you, going through that marriage and the things that were happening that I
Mhm.
didn't even know,
Oh,
and then find out after, oh my God. I couldn't have been nobody but God. Nobody but God. Like just woof, covering me.
all the time.
Yes.
That's that. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, because I fear no evil, because I am covered, I
Mhm.
am protected. That kind of thing.
Listen at here's Kim. I love her. This one of my sister girlfriends. She says I'm a nurse and took the nursing math test 8 times before I finally passed. I became a nurse and am now a nurse practitioner, and praise God, I've never given a patient the wrong dose. Let me
That's a
tell you
that's a
something.
good record to have.
Kim is like an angel. She loves what she does.
Hmm.
And you know how it's just certain people you see and you know that that's what they're supposed to be doing?
Hmm.
That's Kim. Kim, her patience, and us as friends, we've all been friends since we were 13. We've been together so over 40 years. And it's just like knowing that Kim's a nurse, it's like, that's right. She's really a doctor. She really
Well, a nurse
is.
practitioner is as close as you can get without being a
Absolutely.
doctor. So yeah.
Absolutely. She's right where she's supposed to be. I love her. I love you, Kim. Thank you for being here.
No, that is fantastic. At
Absolutely.
least, especially with the, I love that never gave the patient the wrong dose. So I am 100% behind that one.
She's cold. And she doesn't even have to work if she does not want to. That she loves it.
Well, those are
She
the best kinds. Those are the best
yeah.
kinds because if I do it because I have to, then I'm not really 100% in there. But if I do it because it's my calling, they get the best treatment. And I've witnessed some really good, especially not nurse practitioners, but like a doctor. Um, we had with my first one, she was in a NICU, and the
Mm,
doctor that came and the way he treated her, he was like, I think she was there. No, she was there for 6 weeks, and
mm.
we got a new doctor. This little guy, he was about 5 foot, 5'2", something like that. But he came in and it's like immediately he just started doing stuff, and she was out of there,
I love that.
out of there. So there are people who it's a job, and then there are people who where it's a calling, and the call when you're blessed with somebody who has it's their calling to be there, you get the best treatment all the time, all the time.
Absolutely. It's like I knew this was it. One, people would ask me if I was a teacher all the time, but I knew I was doing it for free. I'm like, what? And if you think about it, what would you do for free?
Things you love.
Absolutely.
Things you
Absolutely.
love. And it's
Thank
even better when you know that there is a higher purpose to it too, right? So it's not just about if I help you, you're good for now, but if I help you, it's a long-term upward trajectory. Oof, wow. Whole
Mhm.
different feeling, whole different feeling. And that's where I think where in my case where it was more of kind of like a spiritual, even with the moral, because you're looking at these men and saying, okay, well, what is the failing thing, what is the common thing here that is causing men, even sometimes Christian men, to decide, okay, I'm gonna leave my family for another woman, I'm gonna leave my family because I don't feel like doing it anymore, and these kind of things. Like, how couldn't I be now a catalyst to say, okay, yes, you can, and what you're having is an issue, right? But you're not the issue. Sometimes we take the issue and it
Right.
becomes part of our identity. No, it's just an episode in your life.
Yeah.
You can move past it. There are things that you can do to fix the situation, and some of it. And I was talking to this woman today, and she was having some issues and things like that. And I said, if you change who you are whenever before who you are right now, you lose all the value, right? But what
Mm.
you can do is to realize, yes, there are things that need to be fixed and decide that they can be fixed and then move forward, right? You have issues, but you are not the issue,
You are not the issue. Yes.
you
I
know?
love that. You have issues, but you are not the issue.
You are not the issue. And sometimes a lot of people, they conflate the two and they make themselves the issue when they're not. Because if you are the issue, I can't separate myself from what is happening. But if I
Mm.
am not the issue and I just have issues, I can separate myself. And if I can't fix it, I can remove it from my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I had, when I was in that dark place in the valley, I had to realize that too, because one of the things that came to the surface for me, I had a lot of guilt and shame,
Hmm.
and I had to realize that it was a moment in my life that happened. One, I had to forgive myself
Hmm.
and recognize that it wasn't me, just like you're saying.
Yep.
I had to
Yep.
walk through that. That took a minute to kind of get through, because one, I didn't know that I was carrying the guilt and shame.
Hmm.
It didn't come out till later, and it was centered around my first marriage when I became a widow. So it was crazy. It it brought so much to the surface to prepare me for this walk. So much to the surface. So
You know,
much.
and then sometimes I think it's sometimes people allow maybe the stigma of external things to now say I have to walk with this, or I am the reason why these things are happening. Because society does look at, well, you divorced your husband, or you left your husband, or you left your wife, or whatever it is, and it's your fault, right? They
Hmm.
don't know the full extent of what is happening. All they're seeing is the end result of what was, or what has taken place. And that's where I was talking about before, like even with the men, you got to know inside yourself, okay, I am worth it, I am
Yeah.
okay, regardless of what other people say, because you're going to have people that are going to say things, left or right, right or wrong, about what they think the situation is. They don't know what the situation is, but they just see what they see, right?
Right.
And it's important for you to be able to make this decision, because I need to either protect myself
Right.
from further harm, or negative characteristics or negative environments, so that you can be whole, you can be
Mm.
who God meant you to be, and be able to move forward. I cannot um, fix somebody that I did not break.
Ashe.
Okay. And there are people who are walking around in our relationships around us who are broken before we even met them. Right. And that's what I was telling this woman today. I was like, you're trying to um, feel, or you're being guilty. You're feeling guilty. That's the word. You're feeling guilty about somebody that you did not break.
Mm.
Right? And we were studying last week in Psalms 41, and it talk David's talking about have mercy on me, heal my soul, right?
Hmm.
And I only God can heal that part of that person,
Right.
right? I don't care how much you try and how much you try to enable them. If they don't decide that they want to accept the healing from above, right?
Absolutely.
There is nothing you can do in this world to heal that, right? And that is why I think sometimes you have people who turn to like drugs and alcohol and these kind of things, because they're trying to fix that part of them that is broken way on the inside,
Right.
right? And only until you get to the point where, like David, you say, heal my soul, and ask God to come in and heal that soul, will it be healed? Because He created your soul. So if it's broken, it's only Him who will be able to heal it. That's it, right?
Mm.
But the problem is sometimes we have, and I'm not saying that people don't mean well. They do, because if you're like me, like you have a heart, and you want to help the person to be who they're supposed to be. I want to help you to be better. I want to help you to be able to move past these things that are holding you back. But unless they accept the help, unless they
Absolutely.
decide, I need to give it to God, or I need to move forward, there is no healing. It's just a papering over, and
Absolutely.
eventually the stuff is just going to come back.
Hmm. And I saw that firsthand with my business coaching certification. I had to do practicum and 20 hours of coaching. And some people just were not willing to, even though it was free,
Hmm.
to receive the help that they know they needed. And it was like, that's so heartbreaking sometimes when you
Because
know.
you have to dig up the bodies where they're buried, and
Absolutely.
put them where they need to be. And sometimes people do, you just want to go to that graveyard. I just want to know that it's there, and never go there again,
Yep.
because it's that traumatic.
Yeah. 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 Well, thank you, Joudie, for having
No
the heart
problem.
and answering the call. to
So
help
thank
me.
you for putting out the call. It's no, it was fun. It was fun.
Well, I appreciate it because you were like, "Hey, let's just do it. Let's rip that
Yeah,
band-aid off. Let's just do it." So now you've
that's
got,
kind of
at
how I
least,
am sometimes.
yeah, that's so good though. So good. Well, is
And I
there
got to say hello to Miss Gigi. So
yes. It's Gigi. Yes, that's my cousin girl.
and Kim is I will heal you no matter where you're hurting.
Yes, she will. She'll get you together. Or she'll tell you where you need to go to get the help you need.
Even better, even better.
Sure. She's a practical nurse now. She don't live in the fantasy land. I will say she will help you get what you need, but if she can't do it, she'll put you in the right direction. Would there be any final words for those out there? Thank you. Chandel says she's enjoyed this. We appreciate you being here, hanging with us. Any final words for the young men or the women that have men that can utilize your services?
Just encouragement. That's all I would say is that know that you were created with a purpose, right? It starts there, and then it's to know to determine what that purpose is. Okay, um, it's very important to know that you created a purpose. We're not here just to spin our wheels. We're not involved from something to into just floating around and doing whatever comes to our hand. You have a purpose, and it is your responsibility to figure it out so that your life can be what it was meant to be. All right.
Mhm.
And just if you want to connect, I'm on the socials, so it's at Joudie Weeks on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook. Is the same thing. If you just search for the name, you'll find the person. I'm the only one smiling. So
I love that. I love too when you first told us we were asking about your name. And am I is Weeks ES or just I don't know.
ES, yeah. Sorry,
Okay, why am I drawing a blank? Um, and you were like Joudie, like howdy.
like howdy.
I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, that's funny because I think most people were calling you Jody.
Yep. Yep. So I give you another short story to go with that with the name. So when I was in um I think fourth grade or sixth grade, and I started a different school. So when I didn't go the first day, I don't know what happened, but I ended up didn't go the first day, and then I went the second day, and they were like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm Joudie." She was like, "I thought you were a girl." I'm like, "No, it's me."
Oh boy.
Oh my god.
Oh boy. That's
Yeah.
so
So
funny.
it's been
That's
happening since the fourth grade.
the fourth grade. Oh man. Well, we appreciate you being here. I want to pray over your coaching practice and the men that you are called
Okay.
to serve, that they be blessed, that they hear your voice as their coach. When you go live, when you're speaking in the community, when you're just showing up in the places and spaces that you are called to be. Lord, have your way. Bless his life, bless his family, bless those students that he is going to give transformation to so that they answer their call and the purpose on their lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
In Jesus' name. Thank you so much for that prayer.
You're
I
welcome.
will take as many as I can get. No,
Happy.
I
Well,
believe in the more prayer, more power. So
I
I'll
know
take as
that's
more I
right.
can get.
And let me tell you, I got some praying friends. They
Okay.
don't mess around when we put out the call. I feel like I'm still a baby and a pup in this praying business, but I'm just grateful that the Lord has his hand on my life and he always is working everything out on my behalf as
Yeah.
well.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Absolutely. Well, good
Well,
night, everyone.
good
We
night.
that you had a blessed time. Go out and share this message. It'll be on all of the social media handles as well as Joudie's for you to be able to share with somebody else. Tag him in it. Tag me if you like. And yeah, and feel free to come back anytime, Coach Joudie, if there's anything else that you want to share
Okay.
with the audience. We would love to have you.
I would love to be back. So thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Love you all. Thanks for being here. Until next time.